How's it going? Trey Clark here, as I usually am. I'm going to jump into this, as I usually do. Australia is fucked right now. They're totally fucked. If you look at satellite images, satellites are here. Let's call them balloon images. That Australia is getting literally obliterated right under our noses. If you go to Rogue Ways, I did a podcast there before, but Max Egan is a guy that I've been following for a while, and the Crow House is his channel on YouTube. Brilliant stuff. He's an Australian, but he can spell it out for you exactly what's going on. These are not normal fires. Drink that in. These are not normal fires. They're literally moving the weather. Now, if your initial reaction is to say, oh, that's conspiracy stuff or whatever, all you have to do is look at what our own government is saying is true. What we did in Vietnam to create rainstorms and all that. We can manipulate the weather as easily, to an extent, as we can manipulate the humidity in a room. It's the same concept. It's not crazy to say you put moisture up in a dry deal, or a dry area. You know the pressure systems between the two, and you can pretty much figure out what's going to happen once you release water into the atmosphere, and whether it's warm or cold or whatever. But you can also keep water from being in the atmosphere, and that's very easy to do. We can do it on a small scale. We can certainly do it as a large scale. So why is this important? Because it is literally the one thing they can control the masses with. A couple of things. They can shut your ability to use monetary value. That's why we're going to Bitcoin and all that kind of mess. So they can flip a switch and shut it down. They can shut down energy and communication, like the phone I'm recording on right now. And then they can use the weather to basically make you stationary or not survive, or whatever it is you want the weather to do in that area. But even more so, what they can do, and this is where climate change is such a... I did a video earlier about gun control. It's like, I look around and go, do y'all really believe this? It's so easy to see through this climate change nonsense. I tell my kids, look for the money. Is someone making money? Well, then they're probably full of crap. But many people continue to believe that even though NASA themselves say the glaciers are growing, even though in certain areas they're melting because of volcanic activity, which is not CO2. And last I checked, CO2 grows trees. Fucking retards. Shut up! So, I just want, of course I want personally, but I'm asking, I guess, take a step back. Look at what reality is actually taking place. What is actually happening. So if you do any kind of research at all, you're going to find out that Australia has been selling off their water. Okay? Max Egan really goes into this in detail, but they're selling off their water, so there's no water there, even though they have free-flowing streams, and they should never be without water. There should be an oasis of water, a desert floating in the middle of the ocean that has fresh water somehow. But it's not there anymore. We're watching it happen. Okay, this isn't a third world country that we're just, not in tune with. This is Australia. It's a Western civilized country that, and my guess is it's a test drive. Now, do they have weapons that can blow shit up? California was nothing. And I know that half the people that are watching this are going to go, oh, you're right, whatever. Crazy people do crazy shit. People say the same thing after every catastrophe, especially if someone is at the helm. Remember that. I never saw my neighbor next door was capable of that kind of stuff. They're telling us what they want to do. They're telling us, they're showing us. We have the technology to really fuck shit up. And we've given it to gamma psychopaths. At the end of the day, what do? Do we just sit there and go, well, I saw it coming, but here we are? Or do you go, enough? Because there's a lot more of us than there are of them. Once we realize as a community that they are psychopaths, they can't just burn up Australia. And the reason they're doing it's not just to hurt people. They don't give a fuck about the people. They're going to come and go and die and live and whatever. But once it's burned up and you can't get insurance there anymore, and you can't afford your property because it's not producing anything, then it's foreclosed on. Then the government comes in and takes over. That's how it's working. That's what's happening in California. You can look it up. And the thing is, you can look all this stuff up yourself. And there's a small group of people like us that are doing this research and giving it to you. And unfortunately, what happens is all the response is, yeah, prove it. Fuck you. You prove it. There's an entire continent where fucking Australia is fucking burning. California, I mean, it was insane what happened there. I was a volunteer firefighter. I know a little bit about fires. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but what was happening there in the aftermath of stuff is bizarre. Okay, I mean, either you give a fuck or you don't. If you give a fuck, like and share this kind of stuff, look into it, and see what's going on. Because what we're doing is we're electing people, these criminals, into office over and over again, and they're fucking us. So you can fuck your children over, their children over, or we can do something about this. Not condoning violence, but pay attention if there's an active war being placed upon us. It's worth noting, if someone was to fuck with your kid, what would you do? You take a gun and you blow their goddamn brains out. Well, they're fucking with your kids. Cheers.